Welcome to this retreat, and we'll get to know each other in these 2 weeks. But you will get to know yourself more, hopefully. For tonight, we'll go through some basic instruction on the walking and sitting meditation. As we go on to the next few days and so on, we will look into more deeper aspect of the Vipassana topics, Vipassana practice. Now, in this Vipassana practice, hopefully by these 2 weeks, you're able to master the walking, the sitting meditation, and the daily activities. So first, today we'll go through some basic understanding of to do the walking and also the sitting. Some of you have done many retreats. Some of you are the first time to do a retreat. But some of you are first time in this type of retreat, but perhaps you have done other forms of retreat. So therefore, my request over here for these 10 days or 2 weeks that you are here, all other forms of, all other kinds of retreat that you have done before, you put it aside first. You practice this way, and then when you finish this retreat, then you can do whatever you like. So, let us start off with the walking meditation. After that, we'll talk about the sitting. Now, when we take this walking meditation, you must take it seriously. You must take it as a meditation itself, not just something you're waiting or spend your time just for the sitting. So, this walking meditation, it's mentioned in the suttas and also experienced by yogis all over around the world. Now, if you do this walking meditation properly, it will help you in your sitting, and therefore it helps you in overall of your development of this vipassana. In the walking meditation, it will be good that when you look for a place or when you want to do a walking meditation, perhaps it is better for you to do in a place where there is not much of distraction. Distraction here can be sometimes the environment, other people, and so on. And also, walking meditation has to be done like about 15 steps, normally about 15 to 20 steps, and you determine that path for your walking path. Too short is no good, and also too long is no good. Too short is very fast, you get dizzy because you have to keep turning. You walk too long, then you get tired. So it's about 15 to 20 steps, about right. So, when we start off with walking meditation, there are a few things here. Firstly, we keep our eyes open, but our eyes looking at about 2 meters in front of us. The hands is like, as long as the hands is not moving, you can fold it up, you can put it in a pocket, you can put it at the back, you can put it in front. It doesn't matter as long as you don't keep moving the hands. But also it's a good habit that when we do walking meditation, we don't keep moving the hands. After that, this way for 1 minute, this way for another minute, then this way another minute. Then it will disturb the walking meditation. So therefore, when you are standing on one end of your walking path, so the next thing is that stand there, and this time you start labeling. You will label from the top of the head. You gently goes down, sweep it down. First few times, standing, standing, standing. As you label it, you scan through the body. So, the next thing, before you start walking, when you start moving the body, the next thing is that before you start, you try to note the mental intention. You here in the beginning part, you just note intention to walk, 2 or 3 times before the leg starts moving. So, next thing. Now in the walking meditation, we have 1 hour of walking meditation. So this 1 hour of walking meditation, generally we divide into 3 parts. Now the first part is called the 1 phase, then the second part is the 2 phase, and the third part is the 3 phase walking meditation. Now we keep it simple in this walking meditation because there are, in the text also, there are 4 parts, 5 parts, 6 parts, and it gets more complicated. But it's actually not how many parts that is important, but it's actually how much you pay attention to it, and that is the most important. Now in the first part walking meditation, we call it the 1 phase or the 1 step walking meditation. So here when you do the walking, when you start off after the noticing the intention, then you do right step, left step, right step, left step. Mentally you say it out, but not verbally. Now when you touch down, I want you to learn to feel a little bit. That means you feel a bit of hardness or a little bit of coldness, if you can feel, as you keep walking. Don't let the mind run. If the mind runs, just bring it back to the steps right now. Now, when you do this 1 phase walking meditation, in the beginning part, it is not so clear. There's there, but it's not so sharp yet. It's not so precise yet. It's more like you want to bring the mind back to the body, so that the mind doesn't go run everywhere. So you keep bringing the mind back to the present. So you do this right step, left step, right step, left step, until you come to the end of your walking. So when you come to the standing part, then what do? So you're not standing again. It's all about bringing the mind back to the present moment. Then after that, you slowly make a turning. Then you turn at your spot, face back to your path again. Then when you face back the path again, then again you're not standing. After that, you make the intention, note the intention 2 or 3 times, then only you start right step, left step all over again. Now, the speed of the 1 step, it's not as fast as when you are doing it at home, where you're going into a shopping mall or going into somewhere where you have to rush. But this time it's more a gentle walking, but not slow, neither is fast. When you do this way, you keep the mind back to the present again and again. Then you keep walking, and until about for 15 minutes or so, make sure that your mind comes back to the body here. So after 15 minutes or so, then after that, I want you to learn to slow down the movements of the leg. Then we go into the 2 phase walking meditation. Now in the 2 phase walking meditation, here the movement of the leg is divided into 2 parts. Now the first part here is the lifting, and the other one is the dropping. In the 1 phase, we just only right, left. But here is a lifting and dropping. That's why it's called 2 phase. Now here, the 2 phase walking meditation, the speed is slightly slower than the 1 phase walking meditation. Now, next thing is that when you do this lifting up, I want you to feel a little bit more. How is the lifting is like? Is the lifting heavy, or is the lifting light, or is the lifting something not stable? I want you to feel whatever it's come up. Then after that, when you drop, again here when you're dropping, you label it as dropping, and I want you to feel what is in the dropping. Do you feel hard? Do you feel soft? Do you feel sensation? Then you be aware of these things. So after that, you do with the left leg or the next leg. Take your time. Be patient to do this movement, to learn to slow down. it takes us a number of tries for us to able to begin to master this movement of the walking meditation. Now, when you do this walking meditation, there will be thinking and thoughts and mind running about. It will come in. But this time, for the first few days, don't go inside the story. Whenever you can remember, bring the mind back to the steps. Now, the thinking mind, all this thinking mind, for the first few days, don't use it as a meditation object. But in the next few days, when you gain your momentum in the practice, this is where we're going to use this thinking mind as also as a meditation object. So this time is more like when the thoughts arises, keep ignoring it first. Bring the mind back to the present, to the steps. Then after that, when it comes to the third phase walking meditation, this time the third phase walking meditation is divided into a lifting, a pushing, and a dropping, or a stepping. Now here when you do this lifting, pushing, dropping, you don't do it too high. It's more like 2 inches or 3 inches above the ground. How many cm? You pick it up too high, then the body becomes unstable.
Okay.
Then so now in this lifting, pushing, dropping, this is where your walking meditation turns into Vipassana. Yeah? This is where you pay close attention to how you do the lifting, pushing, and dropping. Here when it goes up, you make sure you label it as lifting. And when it goes pushing, mentally you label it as pushing, and dropping, when you label it as dropping. When it's lifting up, I want you to feel whatever sensation is over there. Sometimes it may be a bit tight, maybe a bit heavy. Then as it moves up, then whole thing here is a lifting process. And I want you to feel it as clear as you can. Then the next thing, when it goes into pushing, here when it goes into pushing, again here, I want you to label it, and at the same time, you feel how the pushing is like. Sometimes the pushing may be a little bit longer, a little bit shorter, sometimes a bit vibration. Now, after that, when it comes to the dropping or stepping, here again, you label it as they are, and sometimes you can feel the legs when it's dropped, you can feel some sensation. But usually, the clearest sensation is when you step or touch on the floor. So when the legs touch the floor, contact on the floor, here I want you to feel whether there is hardness there, or softness, or whether there's some sensation there, whether there's a heat or warm, whatever that you can notice, you pay attention to it as closely as possible. Now this third phase walking meditation here, you try to do it for about half an hour if you can. So the one phase and the two phase, you do roughly about 15 each. It is good that if you are a beginner, you be aware of the time, and then after that we learn to choose which phase to go. But if you are a more experienced meditator, you are expected to learn to feel whether you are ready for the next phase or not. Because there are days you're going to do a little bit longer for one phase walking meditation, and then sometimes the third phase may be a shorter, but there are days you can do a bit longer, so the first phase may be shorter. When they're coming to the next few days, as your momentum starts to pick up, then even the one phase walking meditation, we're going to look into it even more. Or even the second phase or the third phase, we're going to look even more how this one phase can able to help us into building up that continuous mindfulness. So here in this one phase, two phase, three phase, you have to master them all. Don't Don't think that it's only the third phase is important and then you ignore the first phase. It's only when your momentum of your mindfulness starts to pick up and starts to become clearer, then these different phases becomes even more important for you. Sometimes if there's itchiness in the body while walking, then what you should do is that you stop for a while, you note the itchiness, except scratching, or as best as possible. You have to have that habit. If you start new, it's very good, because if you learn to have a good habit in the walking meditation, every time that sensation comes in, you learn to feel it rather than scratch it or try to look at what is going on. With that, in the future, it helps you tremendously, these small little things. So, as best as possible, we try to restrain our desire to do other things. So here, during the meditation, walking meditation is all about walking meditation, and you take it seriously. Now here, when you are in a retreat, an intensive retreat in this way, first few days, your sitting meditation is not going to be very clear. It's where you sleep. It's there, the walking meditation, it will build up that momentum. So for most of you, like you're coming from work, you take leave for 10 days or 2 weeks to come here for retreat. So in this time, it's where you have a lot of things still in your mind, and then you want to transition into something slow, something you pay attention. Therefore, during the sitting, your mind is not going to be able to notice a lot of things. So for the first few days, your walking meditation, if you do it properly, then that walking meditation will be much clearer compared to your sitting meditation. So don't underestimate this walking meditation. You take it seriously, you take it well, it will definitely help you to pull you up in the next 2 to 3 days. So therefore, over here in this whole building, you've tried to find a path that you can able to do a walking meditation. So once in a while, if you were to do outside, I don't mind. But don't do it the whole day outside. It will disturb your momentum, it will disturb your concentration and your mindfulness. So in the interviews, when it comes to the days of interviews, then I will also ask you thoroughly on your walking meditation. So you better give me something. And so far, can you understand? Any question before we go to the sitting? Can understand, but can do or not? Yeah? So make sure you try to do it. Yeah? If, of course, there will be some doubt how to do and so on. So if you have some doubt and also not sure what to do, then of course, in the interviews, it's my job to help you. Okay? So we move on to the sitting meditation. Arina.
So we have to feel the bodily sensation, not the noises.
Yes. Here in this meditation, first of all, it's better to stay within the body sensation. The eyes, the ear, we try to ignore it first. Because if you don't ignore it, very fast the mind will go into here and start thinking and go on and on and on. Alright? Anything else? Yes, Arina.
My question is that you suggest don't go to move. If we go to drink something or go to bathroom,
it'll take up some time. Yes. So the question here is about when you go to the bathroom or you take a drink, then what I'm going to do with that? Now, that one is included in your first phase walking meditation. Even that you walk to the kitchen to take a drink, you right step, right step, left step. Then even when you're drinking, that one we will talk about it on that tomorrow. we're going to look into how we're going to do this type of meditation when we are drinking or eating or something like that. So the moment you are here, the technique of this Mahāsī practice is that you wake up 4:30 in the morning, you are supposed to be mindful until 10 o'clock at night. All right? Okay. So we go to the next one, to the sitting meditation. Now, in this sitting meditation, this is where sometimes meditators have a misconception, or a lot of us have misconception, thinking that only the sitting is more important than the walking. Because every Buddha statue is this one. Because that is the impression that you all get, you know. So here in the meditation, it's where the the walking, the sitting, and also everything else can be turned into deep meditation. Now, in this sitting meditation, we're going to go through a number of things: the physical aspect of it, and also the physical aspect of it, and also the meditation objects. Now, when we do sitting meditation, on the physical side, let us start with the legs first. Generally, or actually by experience, sitting on the floor cross-legged has more impact for a long-term practice compared to that sitting on a chair. Hopefully by the end of retreat, everybody on the floor. Now, when you take up this sitting meditation on the floor, there is a few ways that how we can do cross-legged when we are when sitting. Now, for the first thing is that when do cross-legged, the first way is called the Burmese method. The Burmese method here is that your legs don't overlap on each other, except that either left out or the right out. For example, that this way, he's doing Burmese method because they don't overlap on each other. Then another way that people do also is that they call it the half lotus method. The half lotus is one leg is on top of the calf, like this is on the calf, one on the calf. So the other one is called the half lotus method. The half lotus is one leg is on the thigh. Of course, the other leg is on the cushion. Then you have the full lotus. The full lotus is where the both leg is on the thigh, like the Buddha here. Now, if you cannot do this Buddha method, don't force yourself to do it. I know for a lot of us, even sitting cross-legged, it's a challenge actually. And during sitting this cross-legged, this is cross-legged. Also, there are other ways of sitting also. Another way is like sitting our yogi there, and you sit with the two legs behind, like a kneeling position. Some people sit on the special stool, and actually the two legs underneath, it's parallel. This one is when you sit on the cushion in the center, the bottom there, then it spreads out a little bit. There's also another way of sitting is that one leg is cross-legged, the other leg is on the back to the buttock. Now, sitting in this way, it tends to make the body slightly bent. But if you're not used to it, then you feel bent. But if you are used to it and you know a little bit of that technique, it's you can actually make the body straight too. The trick is to make sure that the other leg that is bent, the feet is touching the buttock or is close to the buttock, then it straighten up the body. If that leg is spread out, then the tendency of the body to bend a little bit. So this is on this one. What else do they sit? All right. Sitting on the chair. There's also technique in sitting on the chair. Now, when you sit on the chair, it's always better to sit with the thighs is on like a V shape. It mimics, or it goes as if like you're doing cross-legged on the floor. Usually, people thought that sitting on the chair, you put your parallel, you think you put your thighs parallel together, you know. But slightly wider, you slightly wider. It is also because that at times when you are drowsy, this is where it's going to give you that stability. Because some people, they can sit until they fall down. you just never know how much drowsiness they have to go through. So this is some. But also when you're sitting on the chair, it will be good that it will be best usually we sit on the stool without a backrest. Now if a chair has a backrest, you tend to like relax there. You know? So too, like some of you are sitting on your wall is behind something like me, you know. And that also, when you are drowsy, this is a very enticing thing for you, you know, very nice for you, the wall. So, it is in places, in other places, usually we ask the meditator, instead of the back here, but instead we face the wall rather than the back is on the wall. So therefore, when you sit down on the chair, try not to lean, because you lean down, it will make your energy, it makes your mental energy becomes weak. Now, unless you have like a body, like the spine, you have some injury or the slip disc or something like that that's painful, that you cannot sit straight, you need a back. If you need that one, it will always good that you take a cushion, something like this, and then you put it to the behind and support on the place that is painful. So this is on the legs here. Yeah? Now on the body, on the trunk of this, before we go, the hands. Yeah? The next thing is the hands. You can put the hands this way or this way, it doesn't matter. But in certain yoga practices, they say that the man hand must be bottom, the femur must be on top. I don't know why. But don't overdo it. You can do it this way or this way, it does not matter. Here again, you see, when you are doing sitting like a Burmese position, yeah, it's always good that your legs are tucked in nearer to the body, not too far from away. Yeah. Now see, when you put your hand here, especially during this Burmese position, there's tendency the hands is like going straight down. Yeah? So for some people, they use a towel or use a pillow, and then they put it there, and so that this two shoulder is not pulling and for the whole hour through, and we are talking about 6 to 7 sittings per day. Yeah? When you do the full lotus, then it's automatically the hands can be just onto the leg, and it's just nice, you know, the position. So you can do this way. Some people also do this way or this way. It doesn't matter actually. Another thing is that some people want to do it this way, or some people want to do it this way, but don't do like that, you know. Because sometimes there are people who love to do meditation in this way, you know, and then it looks so, but it's actually not necessary for Vipassana meditation. So this is usually the hands position that we do in the sitting. Okay. Now the next thing is the body, the trunk of the body. Now here, when you do this sitting meditation, it's straight, but not stiffly straight. It's more like naturally, relaxingly straight. Now sometimes some people may be a little bit slanted to the front. It's perfectly okay. But as long as the position of the body is not too hunched. So the next thing is on the head position here, the top of the head, from the neck to the head. Now here the head here Sometimes some people put it straight in this way. Sometimes the head may be slightly tilted down a little bit. It's perfectly fine. As long as you don't stiffen up your neck and your shoulder here. Yeah? Here, some people, some yogis that I've met before, they want to show off, they sit very straight. And then only to show people how they sit so straight. Yeah? The next one is the eyes. Your eyes is closed, but your eyeball is about maybe less than a meter in front of you, maybe perhaps like a meter in front of you. Yeah. Sometimes in certain places that you go to, sometimes people walk in front of you. Even if your eyes are closed, then you can still see a shadow as moving, and sometimes that will disturb the meditation. Yeah. So that's why when we do sitting meditation, is always, it's a good practice that we turn our self facing the wall rather than facing the Buddha.
Okay.
But on certain tradition, they insist that you must sit facing the Buddha. But actually, it's a more practical is facing the wall. So this is on the physical aspect of the sitting. This physical aspect is only contribute 5% of your sitting meditation. The other 95%, which is the most important part, is how you pay attention to your objects in your internally. After you finish your walking meditation, you bring your body slowly back to the sitting. Don't rush, slowly come down, adjust yourself mindfully and everything to whichever it is. And therefore, when you come back here and you sit in a way relaxingly. So whatever cushion that you need, for example, some cushion on the side here or the bottom here, then you choose whichever you like. Just now something I forgot is that the Burmese way of sitting, usually you need a cushion at the buttock in order to correct the position a little bit. But if you're on a full lotus, it automatically straightens up. No matter how many cushions you take over here, the pain will still come. But we'll deal with the pain later on. Yeah. Now, when we are ready for the sitting, the first thing is that, again here, bring the mind back to the body. No sitting for a few times, just to make sure that the body is back to the sitting from the walking position. Just do it for a few times, 4 or 5 times, but don't do it for too long. That scanning over here. Just about 4 or 5 times to make sure that your body is back here. Because there are places I've met with certain teachers, they encourage meditators, yogis to scan for like 15-20 minutes. Then this time, the meditation will become too relaxed. And too relaxed, after that, the momentum will not able to pick up from the walking meditation. This is a strategy we use in the retreat, that we don't do this scanning for too long. But if you are at home, you're not doing a retreat, then the scanning can be helpful. After you do this scanning for a few times, then you come to the rising and falling of the abdomen here. This will be your main meditation object in the sitting meditation. Now, some of us may be doing in-breath, out-breath from other retreats. Now, that would be good that if that in-breath, out-breath, when it comes in, you bring the attention, slowly you bring attention back to the rising and falling. Slowly you let go of that in-breath, out-breath for a while. In the coming days, we will explain a little bit why there's a difference between here and here. And now for the meantime, make sure that your attention, whenever you do the sitting, you bring the mind back to the movement of the abdomen. So here when you sit down, when you're ready for it, and then I want you to breathe in and out normally. Don't try to pull the breath I mean, first 2 or 3 times is okay, but don't do it all the time. Then the attention you bring over to the rising and falling of your abdomen. Then here, when you watch or when you pay attention over here, together with that observation, I want you to do the labeling also. Now the momentum of that rising and falling. So whenever the movement of the stomach, it goes forward, then you label it as rising or you label it as forward. Does not matter. Now after that, when it goes falling again, you label it as falling. So here, when it goes continuously rising, falling, then you label them, and at the same time you pay attention to it. But for the beginners, although we have been living with this body, but when you pay attention to it for the first few days, it's hard to look for the in-breath, for the rising and falling actually. So don't get too disappointed when the first few days you don't get this rising and falling. Yeah? Now if you cannot feel the rising and falling, you can put your palms here, or some people sometimes they put a cushion here, a soft cushion or a towel, then they just learn to breathe in, breathe out normally, and they feel the rising and falling as it touch the towel or it touch the hands. So you try to feel this rising and falling as long as you can. Now while you are feeling this rising and falling, or if you can catch this rising and falling, the next thing you need to do is to feel how is the movement is like. Is it the rising long, or is it short, or the rising is longer than the falling? Sometimes you may feel a bit tight or a bit tension, so too you learn to feel it also as the tension, as a tightness is coming together with the rising and falling. Notice this sensation, long, short, or sometimes it's heavy, or sometimes it's light, sometimes it's fast, sometimes it's slow. However it's presented to you, however the patterns are there, you pay attention to them as clear as you can. If the rising and falling is not clear to you, then after that, it'll be good that we have other objects which is clear so that the mind can pay attention to them. Now another object that y'all can use also is called the sitting and touching method. There are different ways of we can do this sitting and touching method. But for beginners part, make sure that we know at least one way first. Then after that, later on, we can explore further. Here, you keep you turn your attention from the rising and falling. Then you come to your touching, your hands touching. So you look for three areas. One area is your hands touching. The second area is your buttock, right buttock touching. And the third area is your left buttock touching. Here, when you label it as touching, label it for 4 to 5 times. Touching. At the same time, I want you to feel whether it is hot or pressure or whether it's sweaty. Then after that, after that you notice 4 or 5 times. Then you bring your attention to the right buttock. Here you label it as sitting for 4 to 5 times. Here again, also at the same time you learn to feel whether sometimes there's maybe a tension or maybe a hardness or maybe a pressure there. Just take 1 or 2 sensations. Then after that we move to the next object. Then after that you move to the next to the third area. Again here you do the same thing. Then after that you come back to your touching again. So you do this like again and again until when you feel your rising and falling is clear again. Then after that you let go of that sitting and touching. Then you come back to feel the rising and falling all over again. Now after that, there are going to be many times in the sitting that the mind will start to go into imagination, wandering, and all kinds of nonsense. First few days, it's going to be full of thinking, full of full of imagination, analysis, and whatnot. If either you are not thinking, then you go into drowsiness. This is first few days that you are going to go through in something like this. First few days is like 90% or 80% of your time of the sitting, it is not clear and you are not sure what you are doing. So this is where your walking meditation is very important. This is where your walking meditation, if you build it up properly, then it will take some time. From 80% that you are not clear, it becomes 60, becomes 40, becomes 20, becomes the whole sitting become clear. So if let's say the mind goes into thinking, what should you do this time? Although the technique or to deal with this thinking is to label it as thinking or planning, but you are not going to do it actually. You'll be falling into the story and continue with the story more and more and more. You will go into your own imagination, your own planning, your own memories, creation, illusion, until you realize somewhere 15-20 minutes later, then only you come back. This is most of the time, first few days, yogis will go through this. Again here, don't get too dejected about the sitting meditation. There will be 7 sittings per day for the whole retreat, But for the first few days, the 7 sittings is kind of like nothing much. This is especially when you see it for a beginner's practice. Now, for those who have done a number of retreats here and there, for the first few days, what you should do is that to bring back the momentum is also to bring that labeling together. You bring the labeling to come back to your sitting or walking is faster for the mindfulness, faster for the mind to become clear. So therefore, in the first few days, again here, when the thoughts arises, don't go into their story as best as you can and ignore it first. Ignore this thinking. Come back to the body. Come back to the rising and falling. Come back to the sitting, touching. After 4 to 5 days, when the momentum starts to pick up, this is where we're going to turn that thoughts of yours, all your imagination and creation, into a meditation object. And also like your emotions and your anger and your desire, we can turn that too into a meditation object. But for the first few days, don't try to do that yet. It's better to stay with the body first. So here, as I said, the thoughts as much as possible, whether it's past imagination, current analytic thinking, intelligence, or memory of the past, all these things you put it aside for a while, come back to the body. Now, if you are doing sitting and you feel that something is itchy in the body, what are you going to do? No. So again here, when there's itchiness here, then again we learn to feel the itchiness. If in another occasion, if you feel the body is warm, what are you going to do? Some of us may be starting like, if you're sitting with a shawl, you'll be start taking off the shawl, and then you'll be do all kinds of things, That is also not the way of Vipassana. Now the way of Vipassana is that even that you feel warm during in the sitting, you also have to feel the warmness. In other words, you have to note it as warm, 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 or hot, 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 hot. If you feel that sometimes with the hot that also comes in, a lot of times your minds begin to get restless. So for this time, as best as possible, be patient and don't start moving during the sitting. Don't make it a habit when you do sitting meditation. Every small little thing like itchiness or heat, you want to keep adjusting here and there. And you start off with a bad habit. I know it's difficult, but this is training of patience also. If while you are sitting, afterwards maybe half an hour or 20 minutes later, if the pain starts coming in, this is where you have to turn your attention to the pain. Now a lot of us, when we do this, when we do sitting meditation, many of us have the idea that meditation must be pleasant and nice and beautiful. This is where Vipassana is totally different, because Vipassana has to see the truth. And the truth here, whenever the sensation arises, you have to see it as they are. Finally, all these things, pleasant or unpleasant, we don't get attached to them, or neither we push them away. So, if let's say, if you while watching a rising and falling and you feel that the pain is getting stronger and stronger, so here therefore you let go of that rising and falling, you pay attention to the pain. So here, first of all, you must have that courage, you must have that faith, that confidence to go face to face with that pain. Now, when you watch the pain, the first thing is that to identify the type of pain. Here, identifying it means that if the pain feels like pulling, then you label it as pulling, pulling, pulling. If it's the sensation, it feels like a numbing or cramming, then label it as numbing, 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 numbing. So, if it's the sensation is poking you, then what do you do? So, poking, 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 as they are. But there will be times you're not even sure what type of pain is that, but it's pain. And then that time you just label it as pain, 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 pain. So this is the first part of the pain. The second part of the pain, at the same time, you also see how the pain is changing. Sometimes the pain is getting stronger and stronger. Sometimes it changes from one pain to another pain. It changes from one pain to another. Sometimes the pain as if like it's moving from one side to another side. So watch them, pay attention to them. So here the pain here, usually it comes after 20-30 minutes for a lot of yogis. Now, as best as possible, try not to shift the leg. The pain is a helpful, it will be a friend to you in the Vipassana practice. One of the things that it will help you to clear your sleepiness and also your thinking. But the thing is that we must get used to observing the pain. But this pain, it creates a lot of, even before we pay attention to the pain, a lot of misconception we are already holding on to it. We will talk about that misconception and all that thing later part in the other talks. So, you try to sit as best as you can for that whole hour. So, my quota for movement per sitting is only once. You cannot be like pain, then you move. Then the next pain, you move again. Then your next pain, you move again, So you make sure that until you really cannot take it, then only you slowly shift your leg or slowly shift your body. After that, stay in that position for the rest of the hour. Now, we don't expect that beginners to able to sit 1 hour with all the pain, If those who have been here for many retreats, in your beginning, if in your retreats in the past also the same thing, you cannot even sit for half an hour with the pain. But this is where the training, we slowly train ourselves until that the mind can able to withstand the difficulty, the sensation, the difficult sensation. Then that time the mind is so much more stable. So this is on the walking and also on the sitting. Any question on the sitting?
If there are pains in many different parts of the body?
Take all of them. Take all of them if all of them feels the same. It feels the same intensity. If one of them becomes more prominent, stronger, then you take that particular one, you leave the rest in the behind. Because sometimes pain shows you in different forms together, as if like they are together. Yes?
Rising and falling, and so if we feel very clearly, but the pain arises very soon, just at the beginning, for instance. What do we have to do?
So if the rising and falling are clear, and also the pain is coming up from the background, it also becomes strong. So what should we do during this time? So this time is where we begin to choose which one is clearer? If the pain is clearer, then choose the pain. If the rising and falling is clearer, then you choose the rising and falling. But sometimes the intensity or the dominancy of the rising and falling and the pain may change. Sometimes for a short while, this one is more intense. Sometimes after that, the rising and falling can be more stronger. Sometimes again, the pain can be stronger. So in other words, the mind has to shift from one object to another object and back again to that object.
How is possible to understand when pain is the intensity of the pain is becoming so strong that it can create a real problem maybe in the body?
Usually for pain, if we sit for 1 hour, it's not a problem. But if you sit longer than that, then it can create problems into a physical problem. On the second one, if you already have injury or you already have problem, then that one you got to be more careful. Say for example, you already have bad injury in the knee and you do cross-legged. So here when the pain arises, this time you got to be more careful. If you have to sit, with the less pain in the beginning part of it, then that would be better for the person. We will talk about this pain, different ways of how we deal with the pain as we go into the more deeper aspect of the meditation. But the first part of it, the first few days, is where your momentum of your mindfulness will be absolutely important. If not, we cannot deal with the pain later on. Okay? All right. So we'll stop here for tonight, and tomorrow at 8:20, the bell will ring at 8:15. So by 8:20, I'll come in.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.